One natural disaster could change your life forever. What can you do? Turn to AARP. We help older adults and their families prepare, respond, and recover with evacuation checklists to help you remember prescriptions and other essentials, information to help you avoid scammers, connections to on-the-ground emergency responders, and lots of other tips and tools. At AARP, we're here to help. Find us at aarp.org/local.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Chief Meteorologist Denis Phillips. Heat's still the hot topic of weather conversation, right? Just smashed the previous record for rainfall in Tampa. Still a very nice day. We've got some clouds out there, even a couple of sprinkles as another front rolls through the area. Most of us wake up to sunshine and then very warm temperatures in the afternoon. For temperatures, they're going up and they're staying up. Really nice forecast, especially if you're planning on going to the beach or the pool. Rain chances very slim. Another beautiful day in store. It's going to bring us a very high chance of storms. Isolated showers across the area. Mother Nature likes to remind us that it isn't set by a calendar. We're always on it for you, just in case things begin to pop.
Streaming from the ABC Action Weather Center in Studio A, this is Denis Phillips Live, sponsored by AARP Tampa Bay.
How you doing, everybody? Thursday night edition of Denis Phillips Live. Hope you're having a great week. For folks who are watching from the Northeast, or if you have family or friends up north, we're going to cover in depth. The forecast really has not changed much from what we were telling you yesterday. I mean, for days we've been saying, think of this as just, a solid nor'easter with minus the cold air or the snow, which can often happen in nor'easters. Same wind, same kind of coastal flooding, and same kind of surge. Nor'easters are usually a fast-moving system. This one going to be kind of moderately paced, but there's still going to be a northerly flow, which is going to pile water up on the north-facing part of Cape Cod Bay. Do want to do some hellos. We've been getting away from that lately just because we've been so busy without, with all the tropical stuff going on lately, whether it was ours in the Gulf or whether Lee or whatever. We had a couple of people say hi. Ryan, how you doing? Jay, nice to see you. Anna Maria, as always. Big baseball series. Jules was talking about the Orioles, who was my team growing up. I grew up in the D.C. area, so I grew up an O's fan. The Orioles and the Rays. The Rays are 2 games back. If they take 3 out of 4, they will be pretty much tied going into the last couple of weeks of the season. So big weekend for Rays baseball or Orioles baseball. Robin in Tampa, Karen and Jen. We've got Hudson's in the house with Peggy. Carrie checking in from Newport Richie. Francis talking about a car wash at Bill's Auto on Saturday. Francis is my mobile detail buddy in Palm Harbor. Hope you're doing well. Laura, and by the way, never mind. I'll tell you about it later. I saw you were talking about statins. With me, that's a sore subject. You have to ask me about it sometime. Victoria, how are you? Good to see you. The Berg is in the house with Tom. Again, Jules, nice to see you. Muriel in Citrus Springs. Sun City Center's in the house with Mary. Leanne from Maine, you are going to get yourself some wind. It's not going to be terrible. You'll have 55, 60, 55, 65. If you're on the coast, maybe a little bit more, and some water and some rain, obviously. But nothing you have not already gone through before, unless you're just visiting up there. Pat in Largo. Sandra is RV camping in Hays, Kansas. I love that. That is that is something I would love to do. I've never taken an RV out. I would love to do it. That's on my bucket list, to take an RV and go to a Penn State game, being a Penn State grad, and do the whole tailgate thing in a whiteout game. I'm never going to have the chance. In fact, I think it's next weekend. I'm not going to be able to get up there, but it's something I've always wanted to do. Another Jerseyite, Julianne, stopping by to say hi. You're going to get very little, some gusty winds. That's about it. Probably not even really any water. So we got lots of folks checking in. I do want to jump in. It's Monica's daughter's birthday Happy birthday to Monica's daughter. Let us know what her name is. Yeah, a lot of Jersey folks here. Jennifer also, Largo standing by. So Ellington's in the house. May checking in for granddaughter in college in Maine. So let's get into it. All right. Oh, we have a brother in Martha's Vineyard. Hi from the UK, visiting Clearwater from the 25th to the 3rd in Marco Island in Clearwater. Chris. We'll see if the tropics will be active by then. Maitland's in the house. New Brunswick, Canada. Pam from New Brunswick is in the house. Where Pam, you're going to get yourself some 60, 65 mile an hour winds. I think it's a pretty good indication from New Brunswick. So, in fact, someone is even asking. So appreciate it, Pam. Very kind. How much should you panic in Brunswick, Maine? You should not panic at all. Rule number 7 is 100% in effect, even for these areas. Now, you ask what rule number 7 is. For the folks who aren't from around here, I'll go ahead and show it to you. Rule number 7 is my motto. Don't freak out unless I'm freaking out. You're fine. I'm wearing a rule number 7 hoodie. On my Facebook page at the top is the link to all our rule number 7 stuff where proceeds benefit the Children's Miracle Network. So you can get and a lot of these are handmade. We have passed them off to somebody to try to get them because last year, true story, Christmas time on Christmas Eve, I was still packing boxes and doing cups on Christmas Eve on our dining room table. And we figured this year, we're going to do a lot of them ourselves, but come October, we're going to pass it off to a company that can get it to you a lot faster, within a week to 10 days. And we'll actually be able to do our Christmas Village this year without having our dining room table full of cups through Christmas Eve. So we're trying to be a little more reasonable. We love it. It's a great charity. We love benefiting that, but we also like the holidays, and we didn't have Thanksgiving on our table because we had cups everywhere. So anyway, this is on our Etsy page, rule number 7 stuff, and the merch, as you see here, rule number 7, don't freak out unless I'm freaking out, you're fine. Proceeds benefit the Children's Miracle Network. All right, look, so let's go ahead and jump right in, all right? And again, those links are on the top of my Facebook page. So going to take some graphics full, going to spend some time covering specifics, and then we'll answer questions. And by the way, Taylor, thank you very much. All-star donations also go toward the Children's Miracle Network. You are fine in Halifax, Pam. Okay, I'm going to say this one real clear, okay? By the time this makes landfall, it won't even be a hurricane anymore. Hurricane force winds will be extremely small by the time it approaches New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Halifax, Maine, all right? Take a deep breath. You may be seeing a lot of hype out there. Now look, it's not going to be a great day. You guys get nor'easters with winds of 55 to 65, don't you? I know you do. I know you do. You get winds of 55 to 65, that's what you're going to see with this. Gusts will be a little higher. Let me tell you, we just had winds of 130 miles an hour and a half north of here, and everybody's, going through it okay. This is not going to be a hurricane for you guys. It's going to have strong tropical storm force winds, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, even Maine will have 55 to 65, gusts to 75. You can handle that. You can. There's going to be some power outages. You get that with a nor'easter, right? And it's not going to be cold like it is with a nor'easter. You're not going to have to worry about snow. You're not going to have to worry about losing your power and it's 30 degrees out and you're freezing. It's going to be okay. All right? So let's go ahead and take the graphics full and I will show you why it's going to be okay. Again, thank you, Taylor, very kind. Shay is a good-looking young man, Donna, isn't he? Yep, Shay is a 26-year-old guy living in South Tampa, and I don't know where he got his looks from. It must have been his mom because it wasn't me. But boy, oh boy, yes, he is a good-looking guy. Bonnie in Alaska, how you doing? We've got Rhode Island in the house, so let's talk about it, all right? Take a breath. I'm telling you, it's going to be okay. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be afterwards. Oh, that's my ridiculing voice. You guys probably know. Oh, the media was hyping this up and telling us how bad it was going to be. Well, if it was, it wasn't from here. Because for days I've been using the description of nor'easter for this storm. All right? You may be seeing some sources, 3 million in the path of Hurricane Lee. Turn it off. Turn it off. To quote the Book of Mormon, turn it off. Totally different subject matter, but the message, turn it off, is the same. All right? All right, so, again, thank you for the stars. Proceeds benefit Children's Miracle Network. All right, there it is, winds of 85 miles an hour, moving due north. So for all the people who were saying, it's not going to turn, you guys don't know what you're talking about, turned right on cue. This forecast has been on the money from day one. There's the updated track. All right, now the track in itself, headed up toward Nova Scotia, the west end. All right, but let's look at the wind field. This is the key. This is the most important thing in terms of wind. The water we'll address in a little bit. And by the way, the surge numbers are forecast to come down. So there you go. All right, this is a look at the wind field. The yellow, winds of 40 to 58 miles an hour. The orange, winds of 58 to 73. The red is hurricane force. Right now, hurricane force winds are pretty impressive. Hurricane force winds extend 105 miles out from the center, and tropical storm force winds, get this, tropical storm force winds extend 350 miles away from the center. Massive. And Bermuda is having winds gusting to hurricane force. All right? But watch what happens. As it moves north and moves into colder water, look at your tropical storm force winds. Are they anywhere near the mid-Atlantic? They are not. Are they in? Now, these are sustained, not gusts. These are sustained. Are they anywhere near the Jersey Shore? They are not. Are they anywhere on Long Island? They are not. Sustained tropical storm force winds. But the leading edge of sustained winds, and this is on the low side, 40 to 50, enters Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Friday evening. You just see it beginning to touch. See that? Those are the yellow areas. So look at the geography. This is the extreme eastern sections of Mass, not even into Rhode Island, although they'll have gusts. But look at the sustained tropical storm force winds. I'm going to zoom into this map. See if I can zoom into this. Hold on. Let's go back. See if it lets me zoom. It does. So I want you to look at that. Oh my gosh. I'm going to zoom in now. Here we go. There are your sustained tropical storm force winds. This is 40 to 50, maybe even 40 to 45. That includes Nantucket. That includes Cape Cod. And by the way, that little U shape right there, that U shape is Cape Cod Bay. And that's the area that there could be a little more surge. That includes Eastern Mass. All right? Does not even include Rhode Island. And then look at Maine. Look at Maine. Look at the sustained tropical storm force winds even in Maine, from Bangor to Portland. Now, look at the stronger winds. Look at the hurricane force winds. The red area, it stays offshore. It never moves onshore. See that? At this point, there will be no hurricane-sustained winds. So take that off the table. Gusts? Yeah. Like a nor'easter. Strong nor'easters have winds of 55 to 70 miles an hour. It happens all the time. You know this. Stronger than that. But if you look at Nova Scotia, right, you do see 58 to 73 sustained. So the western edge of Nova Scotia and in through New Brunswick, you will see winds of 60 to 70 sustained. And gusts probably to 80, all right? That is something you will see. And then it quickly goes away once it makes land and all that cold water. So again, no sustained hurricane force. The western third of Nova Scotia, from Yarmouth, west of Halifax, and up toward areas in New Brunswick. See that? So that should ease your mind. If you think, and I don't know what you've been watching, but if it's anything national, I'm sure they're scaring the bejesus out of you. Don't even know where that expression comes from, but it's an accurate description. They're scaring the bejesus out of you. Okay? Don't let them do it. So there's your wind. These are winds that we have seen all the time in these areas. All the time, okay? So we've gone through some of these graphics before. Surge is something I don't mind talking about. We have Lee, Nigel. My Devil Wears Prada reference. Nigel will not be a problem. Nigel will curve, all right? Let's not even get into this stuff because this is interesting and I like the graphics and all, but I'd rather get to specifics in your area. So these really cool Weather Geek graphics, let's just go ahead and skip for now and we'll jump back into the timeline because that is a really good question. And Ricarda just asked that. So Ricarda, let's talk about the timeline. And here it is. Now, no comments about the shape, just not even, because I know you're thinking it, because everybody commented that, and I just like, what are you going to do? All right, so thank you, Karen. You know, we do our best. You know, I know there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet. I know there's a lot of stuff out there on TikTok. I was watching TikTok in the last couple of weeks, and especially the one that's like, look at this. And look at this, and it's going to turn into a giant hurricane the size of the Atlantic Ocean. And man, it got 1 million views. Just some guy. Oh, look, I've got an app. It says windy on it. I'm going to show this. Look at this. What are they not telling us? They're making the weather. All right, anyway, let's go back. I mean, seriously. If you believe that nonsense, I don't even know what to say. Just stay here, okay? Stay here, or whatever source you trust. Look, there's a lot of great sources out there. A lot of great sources. Just go with the ones you trust and avoid the ones that are, avoid the ones that tell you that there's going to be a hurricane the size of the Atlantic out there. John just joined him from Chatham on Cape Cod. So let us talk about that, all right? Here is the most likely time that we are going to see tropical storm force winds arriving, okay? But I want to show you this again. I'm going to go back to this map because before we show you the times, I want you to remember what it was that I showed you, which was tropical storm force winds are not going to impact most of the United States. The only areas that are expecting sustained tropical storm force winds are extreme eastern Mass, you know, Cape Cod, Nantucket, you know, right around Cape Cod Bay, where there will be, so you're looking at winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour, gusts to 65. All right? Look, you guys are New Englanders. You mock that stuff. There's probably going to be some fishermen going out there, this is nothing. That's my New England fisherman voice. This ain't anything. Just don't pull a George Clooney and a Mark Wahlberg. Perfect storm back in 1991. Don't let that happen. All right, so here's again at arrival time, okay? These are the most likely arrival times of tropical storm force winds. Well, the only area in the United States that are even expecting it is extreme eastern Mass and coastal Maine. That's it. So there's been much ado about nothing, so says Shakespeare. Shakespeare did say that, Jason, right? Oh, no, Yeah, okay. I thought so. Jason, our engineer, just walked by. I'm like, that is Shakespeare, right? Okay, so there you go. So so if you are out in the Western Atlantic on your sailboat, you'll run into these sustained tropical storm force winds. If you're not, you won't, okay? However, Western Nova Scotia and Maine, Saturday morning to Saturday evening is the timeline. You see that? Okay, so let's go graphic by graphic. We're going to start with heavy rainfall. I don't know, this may end up being a little bit low, but look at, from the Hurricane Center, the projection of rainfall totals. It's all out in the ocean. I mean, you've got it in Western Nova Scotia, 2 to 4 inches of rain, but look at the U.S. Look at Jersey, look at Connecticut, look at Rhode Island, look at Massachusetts, look at Vermont, look at New Hampshire, look at Maine, southeastern Maine, 2 to 4 inches. Portland, northeastward, 1 to 2. That ain't a lot of rain. All right? Surge. This is even better. Now, the one thing and I told you this yesterday, I was concerned about Cape Cod Bay. It was an original 2 to 4 foot surge prediction. They're now 1 to 3. One of the reasons why, and this is good news, this is why, of course he is, Claire, this is why focusing on worst case scenario drives me crazy, because in this case, it's best case scenario, because this is going to be passing at low tide. So there's a lot of talk about the new moon, justifiably, but it's going to pass at low tide, at least it's close, so you're already dropping a foot of water anyway. So again, looking at, now I do think Long Island, I do think the Long Island Sound, I do think that entire area back to Flushing and all the way back toward Cape Cod is looking at a 1 to 2 foot rise in water. I mean, there's going to be some flooding, 1 to 2 feet above average. 1 to 2 feet. How much did Sandy have? Isn't it like 12? So again, step away from whatever you're hearing, worst case scenario stuff, because it's just not true. What is true? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's reasonable. Eastern Mass, 40 to 50 sustained, no, 40 to 45 sustained, gusts up to 60. Nor'easter. Areas to the west, gusts up to 40 to 45. I-95 corridor, gusts to 35 to 40. All right? Not bad. Will there be some power outages on the eastern side of Mass? You betcha there will. Will there be power outages in Maine? Yes, there will. Will there be power outages in Vermont? Yes, there will. Are there power outages with every single nor'easter that comes up? Yes, there is. So this is nothing new. All right? Let's not minimize the impacts completely, because it's still a powerful storm and it will be dangerous at times. But for the folks who are talking about this, you know, I think I'm getting my point across. All right, I've made my point. So there's the surge, 1 to 3 feet Cape Cod Bay, Boston Harbor, same thing. All right. Now I will tell you, this is put out by the Hurricane Center. It stops at the Canada border. So this does not include a surge number for areas of Nova Scotia, which I think is going to be more like 2 to 4, maybe even 3 to 5. Right at landfall, but you have a much weaker system, albeit a large system, but by then the winds will start collapsing. Certainly the amount of water that it pushes will be collapsing as well. All right? So that is what I've been saying from the beginning, and I'm sticking to it. No point in changing now. As I said, right now, hurricane-force winds extend 105 miles out from the center. By the time it approaches Nova Scotia, there will be no hurricane-force winds. There will never be sustained hurricane-force winds in the United States with this storm. How about that one for a hot take? Hot take. No sustained hurricane-force winds in the U.S. with this storm. Gus, yes. In Maine. Maybe that's it, truthfully. All right? But tropical storm force winds, massive, 345 miles away from the center. But the majority of those tropical storm force winds are 40 to 45 miles an hour. Okay? Still something to contend with. like you will probably with 2 storms this winter, with 2 nor'easters. The difference is it's not going to be 35 degrees out in freezing rain or snowing, and you lose power and you're freezing. You're in the 70s. All right? Wait a minute. Are the Rays up? Hold on. Stand by. Don't know. Looking for a score. I saw let's go. No, Baltimore's up. Oh, but the Rays up first and second with 1 out, so maybe they did something. Okay. Yes, you are on the New Hampshire coastline. There will be a 1 to 2 foot rise. There will be winds of 50-ish. That's it. Now, will you lose power with that? There will be some spots that absolutely will, no doubt. Will there be some trees down? Yeah, you've had a lot of rain, but remember what we showed you, the rainfall totals? There's your rainfall totals from the Hurricane Center. Doable, right? Okay, let's go to the next thing. Rainfall. By the way, check out rainfall not just for the Northeast, as you see here, right along the coast. Southeastern Maine, extreme eastern Mass. That red line is 3 to 4 inches of rain. I think that's a legitimate number. I do. Look at Florida, by the way, for our locals. This is the next week, mind you, but 2 to 4 inches of rain, as I think we see a pretty wet pattern over the weekend. It's tied up, Jules? Thank you. All right, so we've already looked at that. This is a look at excessive rainfall potential. There is a slight risk of excessive rainfall potential in eastern and central Maine, a marginal risk of flash flooding in these areas. Not too shabby. All right, we'll show you that one. This is the same one we mentioned it. We'll mention it in a minute. So there's your rain. There's your surge. The models show a ton of agreement, so there's nothing to worry about. There's your spaghetti models. I will briefly show you the long-range models because people are interested in what else is going on out there. So let's look at the GFS first. This is the GFS, hashtag cha-ching. There goes the GFS up north. All right. Then you've got what will be Nigel right here. And by the way, I've not looked at this run yet. But it should curve around that high. And there it goes. So it's curving. All right. And let's see if there's anything else. Nope, nothing. Then you have another area down here, way down the road. And that does, you know, I mean, whatever. Ooh, what was that other one? Stand by. What was that other one? Let's go. Let's look at this. It's the GFS long range, and it's not going to be right, but it's always intriguing. Yeah, okay. And by the way, the Euro shows the same thing. Nice little curve. I say that because there is the long range. We showed you this before. Next week, there's Nigel. But the following week, it does have the possibility of development more on a westward track, and we also could see development in the Eastern Pacific or in the Western Caribbean or the Gulf. This area is obviously one that we always have to be watchful of in the Bay Area for any kind of potential development in the Gulf of Mexico. This one, if it goes more south, obviously this would also need to be watched as well. And this is September 27th to October 3rd. So in a couple of weeks. And as you see, experimental. It's the long-range forecast, and it's pretty inaccurate. All right. Tampa's up 3-1. Thank you for the update, Tina. If the Rays take 3 out of 4, they will be tied with the O's. All right, so there you have it. I will now answer questions, be happy to, and Michael, you may walk your cat at 11:30 and watch the launch at the same time. If you're watching on our streaming app, again, rain chances increasing, more afternoon variety for the Bay Area over the weekend. The mornings will be dry. We're going to continue on Facebook right now. Thanks for watching on the streaming. Have a great night. Okay, so Vicky, Long Island will get a 1 to 2 foot water rise. They will get winds of 30 to 35 sustained. That's about it. Okay? Will Lee bring cooler weather to our area? Does not look like that dry air will make it all the way down to our area. The models were hinting at it a couple days ago. They have backed off on it. We do not have any storms coming our way currently, Atlas. This is a look at the wind field for Lee. And that yellow area is the only area in the United States that expect tropical storm force winds in eastern Mass. That's it. Sustained. Gus, yes. Treat night. You know what? It's a good question, Denise. I just heard I heard somebody open up plastic, so my guess is maybe it's Publix. Yeah, see, there you go. So you kind of know the sound of Publix baked goods. They have the little plastic thing. So there you go, Denise. We have Publix baked goods, which is never a bad thing. Okay. Any other questions, people? Thunderstorm chances 50 to 60% this weekend. Yes, Ryan, and it will be from lunchtime on. The mornings will be dry. All right? Yeah, I don't just forecast the weather. I forecast what treat night was going to be. You got to use your hearing. Oh, that sounds like Publix. All right? Anything? Yeah, exactly right, Vicki. I am in 100% agreement. I wish the camera was portable and I could actually bring it over and show you what it is. Treat night is a long-standing tradition here at ABC Action News for 29 years. And every Thursday night, someone brings in treats. Every now and again, they've had people bring in veggie platters. They don't get the concept of what treat night is, but it's usually a treat, something sweet. Yeah, Ryan, I'm with you. Hopefully they will. You're welcome, Gary. Yes, mow in the morning, Abby, not in the afternoon. In the afternoon, there will be storms. So if anybody has any questions about the Northeast specifics, water temperatures have not dropped yet, Tom. As a matter of fact, they continue to rise. Clearwater is 90. The Bay is 92. Anclote area tomorrow afternoon should be fine. The rain will be moved inland by then. Justin wants to know wind and rain in St. Pete. Starting on Saturday, there will be a bit more in the afternoon hours. Saturday morning flights into the Northeast. Now, that's a tricky question. I do not know I don't know at what point airlines start canceling flights. I do know Saturday morning they will have gusts to 40 to 45. Even Boston will. So it may be tough getting into Boston on Saturday morning, or really Nashua, or anywhere in the Northeast. That could be tough. When I talk about winds, I'm talking about damaging winds. I'm talking about sustained winds, strong tropical storm. And I don't see that happening. But you're going to see video. Look, you're going to see video. People are going to be out there, and the winds are going to be whipping 50, 55. They're going to go, whoa, we can't stand up straight up. You're going to see that. But you're going to see that in a nor'easter, too. Let's not ignore the fact that it's still a pretty strong storm, or will be at that time. And there will be some power outages, and you're going to see some tree issues and that sort of thing. But you're not going to see something equivalent to the amount of hype that's coming up saying, run for your lives, a hurricane's coming. That is not what you'll be experiencing. I'll say it again, a mid to strong size nor'easter equivalent is what you're going to be experiencing. All right? Oh, I don't think candy corn, although my treat night is the Thursday before Halloween. So maybe I usually bring candy corn as decorations, not to eat necessarily, but because I usually do the whole decoration. I go to the dollar store and get that stuff. Okay? Saturday morning golf tournament, Newport Richie. Carrie, you will be fine. The earlier the tee time, the better. I've done my Jimmy Stewart voice on several occasions already, Bridget. So that's my person hyping things voice. I never thought of it as Jimmy Stewart, but it actually could be. Drier air, Morgan? Gosh, I don't think anytime soon. My kids like candy corn, Vicki. My youngest two kids love candy corn. Ryan and Jake both love candy corn. So there is still an interest in that. So I guess I must have answered all your questions for the Northeast because, you know what, we're not seeing any. So that's good. So there's a football game to be watched, my friends. We have got the Philadelphia Eagles against the Minnesota Vikings. And my prediction, because Kenneth Gainwell is sitting with an injury, DeAndre Swift is going to have a breakout game. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll continue the rest of the year like this because he'll probably get hurt because he usually does. But I think DeAndre Swift could have a sizable game. If you have him on your fantasy teams, start him. That is my prediction. Eastern PA is going to be totally fine, Nicole. Eastern PA is going to get a lot of nothing out of this. Like literally nothing. All right. Mixing candy corn with nuts? Emily! Have you been here the whole time, Emily? I don't think so, because I have not seen you on here at all. So if you have been and you didn't say hello, shame on you. And if you're running late and you're here, shame on you again. Come on. You're very welcome, Nicole. So yeah, let's sum it up, all right? Strong winds, 40 to 45 on the eastern side of Mass, sustained, gusts to 55. There'll be some power outages. There'll be some 1 to 2 foot surge. There'll be some coastal flooding with a northerly wind in Cape Cod Bay. Trees, sure, there will be some trees down with these gusty winds. But overall, this will be a storm that is manageable. This will be a storm that might have some great video with people out there standing around, but overall, the amount of damage will be minimal. And nuisance, absolutely. Power outages are a nuisance, but I'll tell you, power outages in 70-degree temperatures up there is a lot better than power outages in Florida of 95 degrees and no AC. So in the scheme of things, it could have been worse. I never really thought it would be, but it's always worse. There's always the possibility. And in this case, it's kind of playing out exactly like we thought. All right? Pop rocks in your Diet Dr. Pepper. Have never tried it. Not opposed to it, though. So that's it, guys. I'm going to go watch some football. Have a good night. And I'll probably have a show tomorrow since it'll be getting closer to landfall. Yeah, I probably will. I mean, might even be able to get some live cams from some of the stuff going on. My buddy Mike over at Mike's Weather Page was talking about chasing. Haven't heard if he's going to or not. He said he was going to. And if he is, might even try to Skype with him or Zoom with him and to see, to see if he's going to be over by the Cape, because that's kind of what he was talking about doing. All right, guys, have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow night on the next edition of Denis Phillips Live. See you guys.
One natural disaster could change your life forever. What can you do? Turn to AARP. We help older adults and their families prepare, respond, and recover with evacuation checklists to help you remember prescriptions and other essentials, information to help you avoid scammers, connections to on-the-ground emergency responders, and lots of other tips and tools. At AARP, we're here to help. Find us at aarp.org/local.